My mic wasn't plugged in. Funky. Starting off strong. Actually, hold on. Let me reset. Let me just. Hazers Nation, let's ride. Welcome, everyone. How was your weekend? How has your month been? Here we are in the tail end of December, in the tail end of the 2022 Marble League, as well as the 2022 calendar season. Christmas is just around the corner. Hanukkah started last night. Kwanzaa is Kwanzaa. Solstice is Wednesday, as well as the finale to this Marble League season. But before we can crown a champion, we have to say goodbye to 4 teams who will not be in next year's qualifiers. We had the part 2 of the Showdown on Saturday, a very poorly paced, in my opinion, event. They had all 4 of these events really squished in, more so than the first 4 from part 1. This really could have been 4 different videos. You have one event and then 3 events in one video, because half of this video was just block pushing. And boy howdy, did some blocks get pushed and some blocks get not pushed. Of course, the elephant in the room. Hazers are not going on. They were a team in the driver's seat, favored to win the 2021 Marble League. They did not qualify for this Marble League, and now they're not even going to get a chance to qualify for next year's. They had the hardest downward spiral I have seen from any team other than the Oceanics, but we'll also get into them, along with all these other teams, because my goodness, I didn't want to get right into this. I do not want to go through the 14 minutes of block pushing, but I think this screenshot right here, this moment, and I got it on the thumbnail too, this is the perfect representation of the Hazers weekend. Okay? Now, there's a moment in the funnels with Cloudy trying to carry the team the best they can. You can see the exact moment they lose it in the funnels. You can see the exact moment when they lose it in Sand Rally. But once block pushing was announced, that it was on the docket in the event lineup, it was over for the Hazers. I am so sorry, Hazers fans. Hazers fans, I am so sorry. Hey, glad it wasn't Team Momo though. But no one was expecting it from this team. Everyone was expecting block pushing to not go their way. There was a list of the top 25 worst block pushing heats. Not the combinations, but just individual runs. The Hazers have 3 of the top 10, and now I believe after this showdown, they have 5 of the top 10 worst block pushing heats, and I believe the one they set in the bottom lane was the worst. We have this one in the second lane that was actually the best run of their event, of their attempts. But this bottom lane. Now, if you'll remember from the main tournament, Balls of Chaos also had an issue with this bottom lane. Maybe it's something with it. It seemed to be only the Hazers and Balls of Chaos having troubles with this bottom lane. But I think they get like 41. They get separated. They get all sorts of out of sorts. They have their teammates trailing back, losing all momentum. That's what, 42 and some change? So, right there, it was just a problem for the Hazers. And almost some, some records almost being broken by these new teams. That's the Blackjacks. Blackjacks having no problem in that far lane. Got a little out of sorts with the trailer in the back. That connection. It happens on the connection. See, this is the ramp. This is where they make contact with it. Just gets an awkward entry for that fourth marble in the Blackjacks. Top three doing phenomenal. Okay. A lot of people had at least one of the new teams in their predictions for relegation. People said Team Plasma. Boy, were they wrong. People said Wolfpack, Blackjacks. Saw a few of the fourth team I didn't mention. Purple Rockets. Purple Rockets didn't do too bad. Didn't do too good either in comparison to these new teams. I did not expect... Really, I don't think anyone expected the new teams to just hit all these other teams out of the park in terms of competition. I expected them to be mid. Purple Rockets finish in like 10th. I think they're all going to finish around middle of the pack, not be relegated, not be too well. Team Plasma cooked everyone's goose in these events. And then the new teams just completely smacked these mainstays out of the water and just blew away the competition. Also, kudos to Team Momo. They were in 13th after the first four events. They had I want to say 42% chance of getting relegated going into this bottom half. They had a 2.7% chance of making it to the podium, and I think a 0.5% chance of winning the whole thing. Of course, Plasma nicked that, but 2.7% to make it on the final podium, which is exactly what they did. Kudos to Momo running the table, putting the grind down. Speaking of Mimo, right, in the water race, after the fact, it was ruled a field defect. If you remember, Azure and Mimo for the Cobalts and Team Momo, respectively, DNFing in the water race, getting hung up on a little divot at the bottom of the track that was, after weeks apparently of consideration, that was ruled a track defect. They were awarded consolation points for that. Team Momo didn't need it because they went and blew a bunch of these teams out of the water on the amazing comeback here. And then Cobalts needed a bit more than 1 consolation point, 2 consolation points. They needed some divine intervention. They needed some marble Jesus, but they did not get it. Yeah, Team Momo, look at that. 91-92. They would win this event, and that pretty much jumped them in the standings, and that was their moment. That was their clinching, they're not gonna be relegated moment, was in block pushing. And Hazers fans, I'm sorry. Look at this. That's Momo in the bottom lane. Same thing again. There's something in this bottom lane, which is why they run 4 of these with each team in a different lane, because there's something in that bottom lane. Although the Hazers wish they would get 70, a lot of these teams wish they would get 70. Momo was fine. And how about the Jello Jumpers? I've been saying everything about Team Galactic, Pinky, Swarm, I get it, Team Plasma, they're a GOAT, okay? Honestly, you can clip this right now for when it ages poorly or ages well. Team Plasma's going to the 2023 qualifiers. I think Team Plasma's gonna be a problem. In 8 events, they did what Balls of Chaos, Midnight Wisps, Chocolatiers couldn't do in 15 of those events with the same sort of scoring. Hoping the Midnight Wisps can do something in an elimination race on Wednesday, because I need that for my bingo card, okay? So I've been saying a lot of things about a lot of different teams. But I mean this more than what I've been saying about the Pinkies, what I've been saying about Team Galactic. Who gave the Jungle Jumpers the right? Because they got a bad beat in 2020. Track defect. Jump in the funnels. Got a bad beat 2021. Jump redeemed themselves in the funnels. Still wasn't enough. 2 points again. They missed out. Completely collapse in the 2022 qualifiers. I thought they were dead. Everyone else was writing them off as dead. I even said I was gonna roast them. And I went into that part in the disqualified teams, fully believing that the Jungle Jumpers would be dead 16 out of 16. But who gave them the right to do just well enough to not be relegated and propel themselves ever so slightly ahead of teams that I feel like deserved it more than they did? Who gave the Jumpers the right? I see someone say, I did. Rude. Rude. And then Momo, I think Team Momo had the top 2 highest attempts of the day. That was some solid pushing in that top lane. Yes, be kind, rewind. And then you see the Cobalts, bottom lane, they didn't have some issues navigating that, getting 80. Jungle Jumpers getting 77 in the second lane. Momo in that top lane, some solid pushing, helping them run the table. Any other teams that we need to cover for block pushing? Because I am a fan of block pushing, but when it's block pushing and then 3 other events you need to get to, this just drags on. Maybe in the future, if you're doing 2 parts of the Showdown and you have a really long event, like 2018 qualifiers, not sure if you remember this. The 2018 qualifiers, 4 events, but 2 videos. They had the first event as his own video, and then 2, 3, and 4 as a separate. And you get to see the Limers riot and throw stuff on there. I think that was no, that was the next year. They did try to riot. I do believe in 2018. But when you have 4 events to get to, and you start off with block pushing, it just drags on. Solar Flares, Roragi. There are many teams, right? There are many teams who have been showing that they are that team. Okay, Team Plasma, they are that team. Solar Flares are not that team. All right? I am so sorry, Solar Flares. I do not know what you need to do to make this team good. Maybe get some defibrillators, get some life back in this team, because you're getting outplayed by some of the best teams that we've seen in terms of B League, and some of the worst teams in terms of just marble sports history. Flares show promise, but what are they trying to do? I even disagree with that. I don't think the Solar Flares have any sort of promise. Dead last in qualifiers last year. I get it. New team. Dead last in the Showdown last year. I get it. New team. Damn near dead last in their group in qualifiers, and of course Jungle Jumpers, pretty much with the worst qualifying ever. New team, whatever. But there's just nothing happening. So is there time? I mean, I've been writing off the Pinkies for the last 5 years, so maybe we just need to hope that the Solar Flares in 5 years will be good after years of me saying they're the stinkiest garbage in the history of history. Yeah, see, a lot of people chiming in with their opinions on the Solar Flares. And Team Plasma looked human. And of course they're not human, they're marbles. But they looked fallible. They looked beatable. They slipped up in this event. 3 medals and 4 events in the first part of the Showdown. Block pushing, light marbles don't tend to do so well. Okay, you can see the stars back there with them. Rojo Rollers got some more mass. They're rather dense. Didn't break the 90, broke 85 just barely. Team Plasma, this is why we play many different events. This is why it is just not block pushing in the Marble League. That's why we have speed events, other endurance events. Climbing was in here again, which is just teammate pushing other than block pushing. I would have liked to see Domino Bowling come back. Those were my predictions. I had Sand Rally definitely was going to be the end. Domino Bowling, Balancing, and a Quackthalon would have been a perfect lineup. I do like the combination, 2 speed-based events and then 2 non-speed-based events, because when everything is just time-based. How fast can you go? How slow can you go? Just kind of gets tedious after a while. I do like the mix-up of different strength events and strategy events. Would have loved to see bowling, though, because that is just a fun event. So these teams don't really woo me, although Team Plasma's been wooing me. They don't woo me in this event. Oceanics, ooh, we gotta talk about them a bunch. And then Indigo Stars, they exist. That's more than the Solar Flares can say. It's more than the Jawbreakers or any of the other MMX teams can say. Indigo Stars exist. Whoop-de-doo, right? So, like, that's block pushing for you. That was a pretty solid run by the by Team Plasma. That was a whole bunch of speed there in the third lane. A whole bunch of speed, and then the little nudge from the tail marble. But that was a clean entry. That's as clean as an entry as you'd hope for. So there you go, saving the best for last, Team Plasma. Although you've been playing your hearts out, if these marbles do have hearts. I mean, they do have hearts. How do you think Greg could give his to the duck? Did Greg mention the duck in this video? I need to know, it's important. This is the penultimate video of the season. What do you think Greg is gonna do on Wednesday? Do you think he's going to sing a ballad to the duck? I'm not ready for Greg to say goodbye to the duck. I am not ready for the duck to say goodbye to Greg. And honestly, truly, where is the duck going? Is it staying in the stadium? Because it's going to get dusty, right? I'm sure nothing's going to be happening in there. Unless Green Ducks host a Marbula 1 event. I want to get Greg Woods the duck. Let me know if I can act like I'm serious. If I can buy the duck, I can pay for shipping. I'll drive it over to Greg personally. Anyone road trip? Go show up to Greg Woods' house with the duck. The closing ceremony is actually their wedding. The banner doesn't reflect that. That is definitely a comment. Out of all the comments that have ever been made in the history of forever, that is certainly one of the comments of all time. So that's block pushing. We didn't get any podiums. Of course, there's Team Momo cheering for another reason. New reason, better reason. A little graphical error. That's a comma. Nice. Okay, Blackjack's got 92. Yeah, Rojo Rollers did just solid enough. I know someone was boo-hooing about the different block pushing times, just like a little centimeter difference. But look at these results, and I am sorry. So, one thing that these the Showdown would benefit from being two different videos is you get more time within those videos to do something like this, because these graphics just sort of showed up. You didn't get a whole lot of time to look at that in depth. I did not get to see these totals. I just really saw that Team Momo won it. I didn't even realize that Blackjacks had the highest push, but Team Momo had the highest combined push. Just one and not even 1.25 ish centimeters doing the difference. 15th was 40 centimeters, roughly. 39. Okay, so 39 centimeters. 15th was the Snowballs. They were 39 centimeters behind first. The Hazers were 39 centimeters behind the Snowballs. That's actually kind of sad. That is very sad. That is ridiculously sad. Was the fix on? Because we know the history of the Hazers and block pushing. Why else would it be in the Showdown? 39 centimeters between 1st and 15th. 39 centimeters between 15th and 16th. I don't think we've seen that ever. And honestly, for the Hazers' sake, I hope we don't see it again. Because that is very, very sad. Like, actual tears. And then Purple Rockets didn't have a good time with that. Wolfpack in the mix, sort of mid. If you're not, so it's really just Team Momo blowing everyone out the water, and the Blackjacks getting the highest run of this event. Both of them getting 180. Everyone down from 3rd to 12th was in the 160s. So it really wasn't that far off in terms of the mid-pack. The mid-pack was rather close. It was just the top two teams blowing them out the water, and then the Snowballs, and then the Hazers. This should be the thumbnail. Honestly, this is unfortunate. Dare I say it's pathetic? Because this is a team that almost won it last year. Okay, this is a team that was almost a champion. You can talk about reverse starting order. Alright, but of course, Mellow Yellow went from 13th to 3rd to seal the championship for them. Reverse starting order. Slid off the podium. 6 medals. The best result from a team to miss auto qualification. And boy, does it just come back to haunt them in new ways. Hazers Nation, let's ride. Funnels was the next event. That's how the standings shook up. And of course, it only appeared for a few seconds. It's not a lot of time to take in all that information. But Hazers was still in 10th after that. They're still doing all right. Jungle Jumpers, Cobalts, Oceanic Snowballs. That was pretty much my prediction for relegation going into the bottom half of the Showdown. Need to rehydrate because a lot to talk about. Yeah, Sting's worse than Midnight Wisps in 2020. Very, very funny because in the comments, all right, saw this earlier. The Haze is relegated. Oh my god, I have no words for this, but a quote. Surely nothing bad could come from not auto qualifying, right? That was me talking about the Midnight Wisps sliding off the podium. They were almost ahead of the Minty Maniacs. All they had to do was beat them. They would have been third, but instead they're fourth. Is there a fourth place curse? Keep in mind, Oceanics and Hazers were bronze medalists. Oceanics got third overall 2018. Hazers got third overall 2019. Maybe that's the third place curse? Yeah, third place. Fourth place basically third, right? Yeah, so this person quoted me, which is great. I like to see quotes of things I said because I say a lot of stuff. I've been covering marbles for 3 years now. Been saying a lot of stuff about a lot of different teams. I like it when people throw it back in my face. I've been getting so much stuff thrown back in my face going into the finale for the main tournament and also this showdown result. Especially with the bridesmaid quote. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And now they're not even invited to the wedding. I don't know how the Hazers honestly, truly can survive, will recover from the season, because this was the roughest fall from grace of any team I think I've seen. Honestly, truly. Hot take. I feel like the Cobalts deserve to be relegated this year after winning the Showdown twice and still failing to qualify. This is in need of a wake-up call. Yeah, I saw the writing on the wall. A lot of people said Cobalt's favorite, the three-peat. Saw the writing on the wall. I pull my predictions from sports. I notice patterns, right? I see the Matrix. I'm like Zach Galifianakis at a blackjack table, seeing all the equations around him. I see patterns in sports, and I apply that to other sports. I've seen these rodeos before. Cobalts go back to back in the Showdown. First team to repeat titles of any tournament, and of course Showdown doesn't matter for much. It's really about the bottom four than the top three or the lone team on the mountain. But they went back to back when relegation did not matter. I saw it on the wall. When it really matters, they'd crumple under the pressure. They'd get relegated. I was right with that. I was big wrong on some of these other teams. My fantasy for the Showdown is a disaster. But there's funnels. And I also do not know where Raldo is. Because he was in the funnel when they did funnels. Round they go. Where do they stop? Nobody knows. Except for Cloudy putting the team on their back. I'm going to just skip down to that last funnel because it does take a while for Cloudy to drop on through. So, this is why it's a team sport. Because if it were up to me, I just have Cloudy and everything. And with this being in the two different heats, all you need to do, not be in the bottom four, right? And of course, this was the first showing of Ounce, and I see some comments about Ounce. Say Ounce got robbed in the funnels. I think the whole thing with Ounce is the worst thing ever. I'm gonna ask that. What was bringing in Ounce the worst move ever? Especially in a tournament this big where you cannot lose, where you cannot make any mistake. Seen a lot of teams making mistakes, especially with this NFL weekend. What were the Patriots doing? What in the world was that? Go out of bounds, go to overtime. Was the move to bring Ounce in for the Oceanics the worst move of all time? Yes or no? That's including whatever the Hazers did with Hazy. That's including whatever the Snowballs did with Snowflake. All right. That's including the Bumblebees and the Hornets, which is really went in their favor. Of course, out of contention for the Bumblebees. But the Bumblebees with the Hornets look stronger than ever. And I think the Oceanics with Ounce look weaker than ever. And again, this team would have been relegated last year if relegation existed. Did us all a favor not qualifying for this year. And then hopping right down to the bottomest of bottom. They are the 32nd team out of 32 teams in the league. Congrats on the high draft pick. Let's hope we can get those in the league in the future, because that is the only thing going the Oceanics' way is a number 1 overall draft pick with the first pick in the 2023 JMR draft. The Oceanics select Lionel Messi, forward, Argentina. Congrats to Messi, too, by the way. I'm not a huge... I mean, at least for this channel, definitely into Marble Sports. Still a fan of human sports. This is an insane weekend for both football and football. Saw someone mentioning that the Colts game was pain. Colts were up 33-0 at halftime and blew it. They lost 39-36. That is the largest collapse, or at least for the Vikings standpoint, largest comeback in NFL history. The previous largest comeback was Buffalo Bills and the Houston Oilers in the wild card round. That was 1992, 1994. It was a while ago. That was a 32-point comeback. They were down 35-3 at the start of the third quarter. Yeah, Colts stink. Matt Ryan is not a good quarterback, and Ounce is not a really good reserve, in my opinion. And of course, I have a lot of opinions. A lot of them are wrong. Yeah, Mbappe, right? Carried France. It really was Argentina versus Mbappe. Of course, that's why it's a team sport. It can't just be a one-on-one. Sure, Mbappe played his heart out, but it's a team effort. And if your team can't help you, then the team is not going to win. So, Hazers, last in block pushing. If they got a goose egg here, it'd be basically over for them. And of course, and Cloudy here, first one to drop into that last funnel. And they just keep it going. They take that outside edge. They have the bumps going their way. Of course, if they had a different bump later on, it'd be a much different story. Thunderbolts, and then getting these bumps from these other marbles. just playing the field really well, knowing that you don't have to win it. You just have to take top 4, pushing the snowballs in, and then basically being solid for the moving on to the final heat. And a lot of the teams from the first heat are the teams that really did the best. They would go on to make up the podium. It was Plasma Cobalt's Hazers. And if Hazers were in third, this would be a much different story. Solar Flares being the first to drop on. Rojo Rollers, ooh-wee. But Solar Flares, that's the big story because they're the only ones in that bottom funnel for the longest time. And I'm pretty sure they took 16th place out of this. That they were the fastest team in an event where you don't want speed. And Scorch blows it. I do not know what the Solar Flares need for their team. Is it a new coach? New GM? Maybe some new talent? Because this is the roughest start to a team we have seen. Turtle Sliders weren't even this bad as a startup team. All right. And then Mimo. Oh, no, just Mo. Mo carrying 5 seconds clear of the pack. That definitely helped them. A lot of the team Momo cheering, then crying. First 4 events, a lot of crying. The DNF in the water race, a lot of things to cry about. This, tale of two halves, right? Just like Colts Vikings, tale of two halves. A lot of things to cheer about for Team Momo. They took that 2.7% chance of making the final podium and saying, Aight, bet. And then the final podium, I'm so sorry, Hazers fans, you can pinpoint the exact moment that it all fell apart. If Cloudy holds on to the lead for the entirety, this is a much different video. Everyone has a much different weekend. Everyone has a very much different 2023. But you have Team Plasma up in the mix. You have a funnel lead, a full funnel separation between Cloudy and the rest of the pack. Team Plasma does not need this gold. They do not need a medal. They have solidified. They had clinched a not bottom 4 spot already. They do not need to be doing as well as they are doing. This is just pure showboating. This is just pure goatness. Great if you're a Team Plasma fan. But not so much if you're the Hazers fan. It is right there. It is that bump in that funnel where it all goes wrong. Where the Hazers try to bump the Cobalts out the way, but end up bumping themselves in the way, losing the lead. It was 3 points between them and the Jungle Jumpers. 3 points. If they get that silver, that is 5 points extra that really they could have used. Very sad to see. And then another bump I remember seeing it very clearly in this funnel, but really just running out of momentum. Can't get it. It was in that bottom funnel, though, with Team Plasma and the Cobalts. Cobalts get the gold. They think they are out of the danger zone. Wrong. And I'm still trying to find this bump because they definitely took a bad hit. But it might have been just the one in that penultimate green funnel, make them lose the lead. If they get a silver or a gold, that bump right there. Is that a bump that looked like they bumped them? That right there. You see? Coincidence? I think not. That bump right there. Team Plasma, the stiff arm. Get off me, he says to Tracy Porter. Team Plasma is going to be a problem. If that's your reserve, you need Eric carrying Team Primary as a reserve. But if your reserve can outplay some of these other teams, Team Plasma might be a problem next year. And then Cobalts, bless your soul. It was that bump. Team Plasma did not need to do that. They already clinched. They did not need the silver. Hazers really needed that silver more than they. And even with the gold, Cobalt's out there out the water. Does not turn out that way. Was not the case. And then they like these bottom angles for the funnels. You don't see what's happening at all at this angle. Not a lot of information to glean from this. And then after 6 events, Purple Rockets looking a little shaky, looking a bit scared. 5 points from 12th. Is there a moment? Now, there's just a 4-point spread. I don't think there was a moment where a team was over and just could not make it out the basement. Yeah, because 25 points. Showdown is so chaotic because of that. Anything can happen. I've seen a lot of no's from the ounce question. I'm just going to end that poll. Team Plasma become the next Minty Maniacs? Let's hope not. Team Plasma actually looks good. Put a bit more respect on that name. I said, I was in the vocal group. Why is Team Plasma back? Should have been the Golden Orbs. Should have been some of these other teams that had a bad shake. Any big gets, big takes? Big gets, big takes? Big takes, big gets. Big gets, big takes. Yeah, big gets, big takes. Marvel Podcast. I am gonna be on the next episode of their podcast. So, talked about how I was in the vocal part of everyone saying Team Plasma, what are they doing back here? Should have been Golden Orb, should have been Quicksilvers. Some of these teams that probably are more deserving than Team Plasma. And then the friendly round happens. We see the 4 new teams take part in these events. And Team Plasma looked like they were playing for keeps. And then I was on board. Okay, Team Plasma giving me a reason to talk highly about them, to support them, to look favorably on their future, as it were, because they definitely look like that team. And, you know, we can clip this moment from when what I'm about to say ages poorly, but I think they are going to be a problem. At least for next year, at most for the next couple of years. But, of course, we have to wait till 2023 qualifiers before any of that can happen. Because we saw Cobalts, they repeat as champs. Okay, this is going to be their year. Never happens. And, of course, now it's definitely not going to be their year. And next year, they can't even be in it next year. So that's already not their year. But Team Plasma looks like trouble. I am so hyped to see them compete alongside the other teams in the qualifiers. So sad to see that the Hazers aren't going to be one of those teams. But Team Plasma looking rather goated. And climbing solar flares did all right. He did all right. Oh, is this the one with the jungle jumpers? Who gave the jungle jumpers the right? Look at that! What is this? A team that has been doo-doo for a lot of years. Definitely during the showdown. Completely blasting off on these ramps. Boom! Clearing 75. Easy. Easy. Jungle jumpers mid, which is better than bad. Definitely thought that they were going to be relegated. Definitely hope they were going to be relegated. That would make their roast video a lot easier to write. So puts a little monkey wrench into that script or deal. Maybe I can spin it, say that they can't even lose properly. Maybe talk about the teams that they put into relegation by not being as bad as they should have been. More reasons to look unfavorably toward the Jungle Jumpers. And then Oceanics, no saving their soul, of course, with the showdown really only concerning the bottom 4 teams instead of the top 3 teams. 1 silver medal, 1 gold medal can make a world of difference. It did not make a world of difference for the Cobalts, but anything could have happened going into not swing wave. Climbing. Limers doing all right. Hazers. Another pushing event. I'm so sorry. It really seemed that these events were stacked against the favor of the Hazers. 2 pushing events. And of course the Purple Rockets. That is not the same heat that we saw like this one. what is that, 62? Poor push. They're like, okay, this is the one where the Purple Rockets finally choke, but no! They blast off! Well past 75. I'm pretty sure they did get the gold in this one. That helped them get out of the danger zone. Limers and Turtle Sliders. Turtle Sliders and Limers not really talked about. They went under the radar. When they are not in the bottom four, they're not really getting a whole lot of attention. I think Turtle Sliders and Limers shocked a lot of people by not doing bad. In fact, kudos to the Limers. Needs to be addressed. This is the first tournament where the Limers got top 8 or top half. This is the first tournament the Limers finished in the top half of the standings. Never happened before. Probably won't happen since. But 8th out of 16 teams. First time that has ever happened for the Limers. And then Turtle Sliders looked pretty solid. They're not going to qualify for the tournament next year, but at least they get a chance. And of course they cut to this right after. Cloudy is hazy in disguise like Rima and Mary. These were Patreon. If you get, this donation, you get a meet and greet with the team. I guess it's a Hazers meet and greet. Do you think they get their money back? Do you think they just want to meet the coach like, hey, look, my dude, my buddy, my pal, you're going to be fired in the off season. We want to meet you all. Could you imagine if Hazy comes back as captain? Hazy could come back as captain. I think that could work. We've seen it from a lot of different sports. NFL, NBA, college ball. A lot of good players turn out to be bad coaches. But a lot of bad players and ish players turn out to be incredible coaches. All right? So maybe that's what Hazy needs. Maybe they aren't a good athlete. Recency bias does happen. Marbula 1, Season 3, Season 2, whenever that was, did not look good. All the walls of Marble Cross, all these multi-lap events looking bad. Maybe they're meant for coaching. Maybe that's where they can find their stride. Because if I'm the Hazers, that is the one position I should focus on. If I am the general manager, which I'm not, unless I get a phone call, which I don't think will happen anytime soon, but if I were the general manager of the Hazers, I'd be shopping for a new coach. And maybe we could get that from Hazy. Yeah, Michael Jordan. I think of who do I think? I think of Herm Edwards, who is all right as a player, all right as a coach, I guess. He gave the whole "you play to win the game." I mean, Deion Sanders coached Jackson State to a bowl game is getting a fat bag for Colorado. So maybe if he makes his way up to pro level, I think Mike Vrabel was a right guard? Linebacker. He was a linebacker for the Patriots winning the first 3 Super Bowls with Tom Brady and then coached against Tom Brady in a playoff game a couple years ago. He's the head coach of the Titans. He does have 12 career receptions, going for 12 touchdowns, because it was always trick plays at the 1, at the 2. All these short yardage, they have him check in as an eligible receiver and throw to him. Same thing with J.J. Watt. I think his only catches in the league on offense have gone for touchdowns. But maybe this could be the thing for Hazy. I could Hazy and Velocity, not sure about that. But I think Hazy, we'll have to see. But that would definitely be a move to get talked about. If I'm the Hazers general manager, which I'm not. But if I were, I might make Hazy the captain. Maybe I should be GM. I'm gonna ask that. I only got one of these streams left, unless the Shining Swarm, knock on wood. Unless Shining Swarm win it, in which case I'm streaming for 24 hours. That is the wrong button. I want to start a poll. Should I be general manager of the Hazers? I doubt this would have any bearing, but imagine if it did. Right? You gotta shoot your shot. I could be a great GM. Certainly better than what's been happening as of late this year. Lot of yeses already. I'm liking what's happening there. Yeah, let's check out these climbing results. Just going off of the... Oh, damn. 0.1%. I remember someone screaming about the solar flares. I think this is what they were screaming about. That 5 points definitely hurting their cause, even though they did get out of everything with a silver medal. And then Team Momo. 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 Ran that table so hard, so well. Team Plasma didn't do too good, didn't do too bad either. Still better than 10 teams, 11 teams, however math works. 10 teams. Good enough for double-digit points. And then Blackjacks already did well enough. But that's definitely something, especially with how well they did in block pushing. If climbing ever comes back... Sorry, I got distracted. The Mo's in the chat came flooding in. But if climbing ever comes back, or something like this, Newton's Cradle, whatever, this will be something to look out for if I'm the Blackjacks. Definitely does not hurt them overall. Of course, this is not a 16 event, 8 event tournaments to just climbing. Different disciplines, different outcomes. So Blackjacks unfortunately drop one. Purple Rockets, I guess. I was going to say all the new teams didn't do too well, but Purple Rockets, 0.1 centimeters. I love how everyone was in this Momo chant except for Momo Akai, the #1 Momo fan. Yeah, she was the prophet in any religious movie where they're predicting something to happen and everyone's writing them off as crazy. And then that thing happens, and it's like, well, damn, son, where did you find these? I knew that Team Momo wasn't going to get relegated. A lot of people were hoping, praying, expecting Team Momo to get relegated because they had the same sort of bad luck as the Hazers last year in the main tournament. Everyone sort of expected that Momo was going to slide down. I knew they weren't going to get relegated, but after the first 4 events, I knew they weren't going to get top 3. And then here they come out of nowhere running the table. GG no re. Because holy crap. Was no one expecting, except for her, no one was counting the Team Momo in at all. So they shot up to 4th with that bronze. And Jungle Jumpers, Thunderbolts, Oceanic Snowballs. I thought it was going to be Solar Flares, Cobalts, Oceanic Snowballs. I have a very important graphic to show you that Nova Wolf put together an incredible graphic from an incredible human showing the bottom 4 standings going through 5-second intervals based on placement in this sand rally. All right. So Radiance, Solar Flares. Holy crap. Was this just pathetic? This was just an absolute pain fest to see for the Solar Flares. When you have a lead, and I mentioned this with one event, I forget which one it was. It might have been the Sand Rally in the main tournament. That when you start with the lead and then keep the lead through the entirety of the race, of the match, whatever, that's called wire to wire because it stems from horse racing. There's a wire, I guess. But you have wire to wire if you're in the lead. What was it called when you are in the back for the entirety? Because that's exactly what happened with these Solar Flares. Right up at the top. No starting gate bias at all. I mean, I guess they start out pretty all right. I mean, not the best thing we've seen. But then they just slide all the way to 16th. And when they do that, they won't return. They will just slide all the way to 16th, stay there. And remind me to never say anything about any team ever again. I said that the Hazers were gonna do fine. In qualifiers, I said they're gonna be alright after they did not have the best showing in balancing. Pinkies went up, and I'm like, hey, Pinkies are bad. They're trash at this. Nothing good gonna come from this team. Almost the highest outcome in balancing we've ever seen. 420. Hey. Every day. I'm not going to say that on the stream in case the YouTube gods are watching. So yeah, Pinky's kind of pushed the Hazers down here. And then I say, hey, as long as they stay in 6th, they should be good. Because you need to beat the Cobalts. So if they're down there, some of these higher teams down there as well. Jungle Jumpers, Oceanic, that's all right. As long as they're staying higher, sixth or higher, they'll be fine. And Solar Flares, watch them drop in. Team Momo, not the best. Okay, we're at, what happens if I hit 9? What am I closer to? Okay, so I'm going to hit 9 for these. Who was running for Team Momo? Momo. Okay, maybe not the fastest one on your team. Maybe make that adjustment for the off season. Maybe 2017 fidget spinner collision. Maybe they're still a bit dinged up from that. They don't got that same sort of speed as they're used to, because they were the one going basement to basement instead of wire to wire. It did not bother them in the slightest, because they pretty much had it on lock. They had it clinched. It would have been interesting to see who had unrelegation clinched. We could go back to see the math for that. Yeah, he's and Turtle Sliders, Team Momo running the table. They're in last place, and now they're moving on up. Solar Flares dip down, which is not what you want. Thunderbolts leading the way. Did not think the Thunderbolts had it in them to be this good. Definitely knew they weren't gonna get relegated at all. And there go the Solar Flares. They go. Oh, they're. Yeah. Okay. So they're right here, and then they're down 13th, and then 15th, and then Wolfpack is going to pass them right there. Yeah. So that is where they stayed. Hazers moving on up. Momo's moving on up. Oh, Thunder. Very, very tight contention for really these top 7, top 8, top 9 teams, really. But all these teams were fine. Cobalt's, Oceanic, Solar Flares sweating. Cold sweats for them. I was definitely shocked watching, because a lot of these teams were fine. And of course, we'll crunch the numbers to see just how fine they were going into this event. So I said the Hazers needed to get 6th or better. I think 8th still would have been fine for them. And then Stars existing. And then there's a moment where I just kind of, right there, that was the moment my heart just drops. They're in 6th, battling for 5th, staying up in the 5th or 6th spot. They dropped to 8th. They dropped to 9th. What happens in this pack? I need to know. I need an alternate angle. What happens between 9th and 12th to have them just drop? This is me. That's me in Mario Kart. I've been playing Mario Kart online. I've just been getting bodied online. That new Rainbow Road, I'll fall off, get back, put back on. Lakitu's always slow. Get knocked off, have to get picked up. Just get knocked off, no items, it's a mess. But what happened? And unsarcastically, unironically, what happened in that last stretch, when you need to go up a few spots, up 3 or 4 spots, you go down 4 spots, at the very last turn. It just all fell apart. Oceanics, Cobalt, Solar Flares. That makes up your 3 of the bottom 4 teams, to the surprise of no one. And this is where I say, whew, Snowy wanted that more than anyone else. It all came crumbling down. I stood with both hands over my mouth for a good 30 seconds watching these final results, watching the Hazers go from 11th to 13th. This is the final podium for the Showdown right here. We did not get to see the podiums for each event. I guess if you want screen time, getting a gold, silver, or bronze in an event for your team, you just got to qualify for the main tournament. I definitely see these 3 teams in Marble League 2023. Almost in Marbula 1. They could be in Marbula 1. A lot can happen. Yeah, right there. As soon as that graphic flashed up, I just froze. I was stunned. Whoever was right about the numbers, they said that they were right about the numbers. 55 to 60 was the magic number. I think 60 is now the magic number for these teams going forward in Showdown from here on out, with 8 events with 16 teams, regular season scoring. 60 is the new benchmark. 3 points. If Cloudy gets the silver and funnels, this is a much different story. Who was running for them in the sand rally? Misty. Misty's your captain. They might not have been the captain. They get MVM last year, and then Hazy is probably a victim of recency bias. Marbula Crowd doesn't help. Marbula 1 doesn't help. They see Hazy as the weakest link. They see Misty as the strongest marble. This is why you don't put your strongest marble as captain. You don't have your strongest, your fastest. You put a leader. Not necessarily the best marble on your team, but it's a marble your team can rally around. And a lot of teams, especially in the NFL, especially in the NBA, because I am a fan of both of those sports organizations, they see one player, and instead of building around that player, they just think that having this one face of the franchise will help them when they're not giving them any help. So maybe Misty shouldn't be the captain. Maybe they shouldn't. Yeah, no riot. Kudos to stadium security, not letting any streakers go by, not letting any riots happen. Of course, having the Oceanics in the top deck makes it harder for them to storm the field. Stadium security, you see all these green marbles. That is stadium security. They did their job well. Unfortunate for my bingo, but kudos. Get round of applause one time for stadium security, because they had everything on lock. And then shot from the locker room. and the meet and greet with the Showdown champs. The Kobolds have shown us anything. Champions in the Showdown don't mean anything. But Team Plasma's looking like a problem. We have not seen anything like Team Plasma. What are these final points again? So, let's compare that to the standings for 2022 Marble League as it stands. I'm pulling those up now. Overall standings. Team Plasma in 8 events has done better than the Balls of Chaos, Midnight Wisps, Chocolatiers, Mellow Yellow, and Minty Maniacs have done in 15 events. Team Plasma is going to be a problem. Of course, we have not seen them against these mainstays. We do not know what they're going to be looking like. We don't know how they'll perform against teams like the Savage Speeders, the O-Rangers, Mellow Yellow, Raspberry Racers, right? But from some of these other quote-unquote mainstays, how they competed against the Thunderbolts, the Hazers, Team Momo, Indigo Stars, the future's looking bright. This team is looking very promising. Same goes for really the 4 expansion teams. Blackjacks are right behind them. Wolfpack in 6th. Purple Rockets, kind of rough. Still getting used to everything, I suppose. Definitely did not see Team Plasma and Blackjacks winning it all. But what an amazing event. What an amazing showdown for them. And what a disappointing turn of events for these bottom 4 teams. Oceanics, everyone saw coming. Solar Flares, everyone saw coming. This is the worst 2 years start to a new team. Cobalts, everyone saw coming. Hazers, I don't think anyone saw coming. Unfortunately. And I need to go to this graphic by the great Nova Wolf. Here we have standings. The bottom 4 standings per 5-second intervals for Sand Rally, rather. For the Sand Rally. Each 5 seconds that tick past, the permutations change just a little bit. Just a little bit. For these teams. Jungle Jumpers, Snowflakes, Solar Flares, Oceanics, Cobalts were the main faces in the basement. Thunderbolts almost got there. They were flirting with death a couple times. Starting gate, they were in the hot seat. A minute 40 in, they were in the hot seat. But for the most part, Solar Flares, Snowballs, Oceanics, and then Cobalts and Thunderbolts seem to trade off a bit. And then this is the last 10 seconds of the race. The Hazers dropping from 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th to 12th. Misty faded. The unclutch gene. This is pain. This is pain. If you're a Hazers fan, If you're a Cobalt's, Oceanics, or Solar Flares fan, why? This is pain you're used to. Snowballs avoided everything. Jungle Jumpers avoided everything. I think this or this is what I really predicted what I would have been fine with. Turtle Sliders got good out of nowhere. Anything under than well, bottom 4 is good for the Turtle Sliders. The long wait begins for these 4 teams. Unfortunately, we will see them in the 2023 Showdown. They missed qualifiers. And we will see the other teams Wednesday when it all finishes off for the 2022 Marble League season. Where is my bingo card? Here it is. And then one of these 4 outcomes will be a reality. One of these memes will be dreams, and dreams become teams winning the 2022 Marble League, and I will have to do one of these things. I'm hoping for the Swarm to win, not only because it would be a huge thing for the Swarm, capturing their title after being in the Showdown for 2019-2020. Not only would it be a big thing if the Pinkies win, because they were in the Showdown for 2020-2021, but not only would it be a big thing for the Swarm, their first title, not only would it be a big thing denying the Pinkies a championship from their incredible run this season, but a 24-hour live stream sounds kind of fun. That sounds like the best option. I want to do a 24-hour live stream. I think that would be a very fun thing to do. There'd be everyone on this. I'd be gaming, I'd be singing, I'd be singing the praises. I'll be doing these Shining Swarm themes, right? Changing the socials to Pinkies, that would be a big thing in and of itself, but that's not as fun, at least from my standpoint. It will be nonstop mockery from Pinkies fans and from the Pinkies in a total role reversal, because it has been me mocking the Pinkies for the past 3 years, and now I'm about to eat so many words. Although about time. So, congrats, Pinkies. I'm pretty sure they have everything locked in, that they can't get worse than 3rd. So, however Wednesday goes, I'm pretty sure they are locked in for auto qualification for 2023. Do Mario Kart stream. I've been thinking. I've been looking into ways to stream the cart. Still looking into ways, really, because it's sharing the input sort of for the monitors. So if it happens, it'll happen. So one of these things is happening. I'm hoping for the live stream, because it'll probably be the best 24 hours in YouTube history. This bingo is probably the worst bingo ever. I I had some crack dreams on this one. I had some wing in a prayer with more prayers than wings. Hazers did the complete opposite of podium and block pushing. I think that 42-41, I think that was the worst outcome ever. There's still time to get Team Galactic to get 5th in an event. I think they might get 5th in this elimination race. Actually, I think that'd be the best outcome. Indigo Stars did not get relegated. Limers fans did not start a riot unless they do something in elimination race, which I doubt they do something in the elimination race. The Oceanics did not win a water event because there were no water events, which is surprising. In the second half of events, that's kind of unfortunate. Wish that happened. Mellow Yellow cannot repeat as champs. Hey! Let's go! We got a square! Team Plasma. The GOAT! Getting it done in the Showdown. Bringing that trophy on home. I mean, it doesn't mean much in terms of the grand scheme of things because that is just a little tinfoil trophy. You want to get that main league stuff. But thank you, Team Plasma. From a team that I very knee-jerk said, before y'all taking the field, I said, should have been Golden Orbs, should have been Quicksilvers. Why is Team Plasma back? Their best showing was a DNF in a race where everyone DNF'd. Team Plasma then goes to the friendly rounds and say, hey, this is why we're here. And then I go, hey, this is why they're here. And then tap 15 other teams in the Showdown in 8 events. Win it. Again, doesn't account for much because there is still a chance, like we've seen with the Cobalts in the last 2 years when they go back to back, they don't win the Showdown. Or they win the Showdown, don't qualify, win the Showdown, don't qualify, and then when relegation matters, because the 2 years they went back to back, relegation didn't matter, now relegation does matter, and they can't win it, they get relegated. So, same could be true for Team Plasma, with not qualifying. But I think they're going to qualify, and they will be a real problem for some of these teams. I don't think Greg Woods is testing out an event. I hope that does. Photo finish could still happen because event 16 hadn't happened. An elimination race is a hotbed for photo finishes. But I do not think I can get a bingo. Unless we get a 3rd place curse, we get free agency. We get a streaker. Midnight Wisps! I'm counting on you! Don't blow this for me! Y'all already been blowing it for yourself. Being nowhere. The only saving grace for you being medalists is that the Balls of Chaos are putting up the worst performance ever with a silver medal, mind you. They're averaging 2.8 points per event. They can finish as high as 11th and get the worst point per event average ever with a silver. And y'all can't beat that? You're 2018 champs! Midnight Wisps, I'm counting on you. Don't blow this for me. Don't blow this for my bingo. I'm begging you. I'm pleading with you. I'm losing my voice for you. It is amazing. I'm not singing praises because there's no praises to be sung. I'm literally saying do something good. And I think it was the Minty Maniacs, Rojo Rollers last year didn't podium until Marble Cross, the very last event. So maybe the same is true this year. I am hoping this is... 2018 year was a fluke. Okay. Fluke for the Wisps. I could believe that. I thought it said it was a fluke year. That this year was a fluke year for the Balls of Chaos because all these comments are sort of blending into each other. I am counting on the Midnight Wisps, and that is not a good team to count on. But not bad. We still got a few. So, okay. So, here we are. I'm circling these. Let me get in the lips. Ellipse. Actually, I don't want to, ellipse. That is not how you spell it. I'm not here to spell things correctly. So, let me go to select. Let me go border. There's a border. Bucket. We got this row. And this row. Select. Border. This is my life, is just selecting border. That's how I get the text. This is GIMP. If you ever want a free Photoshop photo editor, this is sort of like a combination of Photoshop and Illustrator if you're familiar with any Adobe products. But it's 10 times better and 100 times friendlier than anything Adobe could come up with. And I'm not sponsored by them. Maybe I should, because this is just an amazing product for free. The only caveat being there is no outline for text. So what I've been doing with that giant word pain that you see in the thumbnail, the giant word pain, I got a text element, and then I merge it down. I can do this in real time. So this was text. I merge it down to an open layer, and then I can just select all these letters with the color selector, and then I go edit, and then I go select border, select the border size I want. Let's see what 5 looks like. That's the thick border. Go to the color I want. What's a good color? That's a good color. And then I just do a mass blur holding shift. That's a pretty neat looking, that's a pretty good looking thing. I forgot I had the opacity still set. Here we are with that. But I like that. I'm not going to keep it like that, because that look kind of hideous. Kind of look puke green. But that's a pretty good thing. That is what I do in the mornings. That is my life. So these are the two things I'm hoping for. Maybe Greg Woods would mention the third place curse. Maybe free agency. Maybe Hazy comes back. Maybe it's announced. Maybe he does a Stone Cold Steve Austin appearance through the mist in a hood, reveals the hood. It's the worst nightmare for. Well, I mean, the Hazers already had their worst nightmare. But maybe Hazy could be back for one of these teams. Streaker could happen. Maybe it's Raldo. Maybe it's Raldo as the streaker. And then every single team podium's hoping for Midnight Wisps. Or photo finish. That I could definitely see that happening with Elimination Race. I do have my picks for the Elimination Race. I'm going for that hard carrot. I'm saying Midnight Wisps will finally podium. I am saying Eric is going to carry Team Primary to, like, 7th. Actually, that'd be pretty good for them, finishing 7th. Midnight Wisps finally get on the podium. And then Crazy Cat's Eyes, because why not? You need a wild card. They're a light team. They could have bounces go their way. For the bottom 3, I am having Bumblebees, Green Ducks, and Raspberry Racers, because why not? I'm just throwing darts at a dartboard, seeing what sticks. All my predictions have been really good and really bad at the same time. Like, I'm getting like 2 and 3. 2 out of 3. 1 out of 3. 2 out of 3. But the one that I miss will be the opposite. So the teams that I say are really bad or will be really bad end up on the podium. The teams I say will end up on the podium getting those lead cube points. So let's hope that what I say happens. Although if that were the case, I would pray that the Pinkies choke immediately and the Shining Swarm win. But anything can happen with this collision. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be chaotic. That is my bingo. Let me check these minutes. Yeah. I got everything on my minutes. That is the stream. Oh boy. This all ends on Wednesday. What a ride it has been. Looking forward to it. Not looking forward to everything being over. But I am looking forward to a champion being crowned unless it is the Savage Speeders. There is a permutation that I would have queued up if not for my uncanny ability to just completely lose these important documents. But someone crunched all these permutations. So it basically is, if you haven't seen the permutations, I believe it is up on the subreddit on how these things can go. Oh yeah, since I'm on the sub, important stuff to see because I do have some memes up. Where am I at? Yeah. This is important. This is important stuff. Let me turn. So yeah, I'm excited for this next season. We won't see these teams until the Showdown anyway, so they might all get bodied by the Cobalts. Again. I'm roasting myself. No one roasts me harder than me. So yeah, I'm excited for this next season. We won't see these teams until the Showdown anyway, so they might all get bodied by the Cobalts. And then 2 of them are the top 2 teams out of that whole thing. A whole lot of memes that I need to be watching on this. Yeah, there's the Nova graphic that I had earlier. I am looking for these permutations. Although a lot of these things have been copium. Here we go. Here it is. I gotta go to new Reddit. Layout is awful, but it's the only way to make these slideshows big. So, Pinkies can still win if they take 16th if this happens. Swarm needs to get no higher than 12th. Galactic can get no higher than 7th. Speeders can get no higher than 2nd. I think I said Speeders when I meant Swarm. Swarm can get no higher than 12 at the Pinkies. So we're hoping on Pinkies losing out. The magic number is 5. If the Swarm get 5 points higher than the Pinkies in this event, they win. Swarm needs 5 points above the Pinkies to win. Medal type trumps medal count. So if the Swarm get first, Pinkies get second, or Swarm gets second, that's actually here. If they get first, Pinkies second, Swarm gets second, Pinkies get third. That is a 5-point difference. They will tie on points. But Swarm has more gold medals, so that holds the tiebreaker. Swarm would win. So 5 points is all they need, or a podium finish with Pinkies less than 6, or 4th with less than 9th. I think that is something we could see. That is definitely possible. And then Galactic takes less than 3rd. And then it doesn't matter where the Speeders finish, wherever they end up, because they'll have clinched regardless. I think, and you'll hold this to me, this is the most likely outcome. That Swarm get higher than 4th or higher, right? They get 4th or higher. Pinkies get 9th or lower. Galactic get 3rd or lower. I'm thinking this is where they're going to get 5th. And the Speeders can end up wherever. And Swarm right off into the sunset as champions. Pinkies choke. And I queue up a 24-hour live stream. I think this is the best ending. I think this is the most likely ending. So let's all hope for the Pinkies to choke, finish early. Although 10th is not that early. 9th certainly isn't that early. But Swarm can get it if they get 5th with a Pinkies 10th. This could surely happen. But 4th, I think this outcome right here is the one to happen. I think Swarm is going to be your champions. And it will be decided on Wednesday. And we will be back here when I scream into this mic harder than ever. Where I bring the champagne, bring the party poppers. Probably won't turn on my camera. But I will have a celebration one way or the other for a Marble League 2022 champion, in which we will pretty much go through the highlights and lowlights of the season, as well as go over the elimination race and pinpoint the exact moment where one of these teams wins it, unless it goes down to the final heat, which that will be something to see. But regardless, it will happen Wednesday. I'll be here Wednesday. I hope you will be too. It has been 2 hours on this one. I think it might be damn near 4 hours on Wednesday, but we will see. Until then, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay hydrated. Someone asked me if I was drinking because they heard a can. This is a water bottle. I've been drinking that water. It's empty. I need to drink more water. Stay hydrated. Stay rested. You need your energy for Wednesday. I certainly need it too. As always, Waluigi's gonna end us out. Goodbye.
This is a special news bulletin. Today is International Laugh